Hello and welcome to the Possibility Mindset Podcast. I'm Devin, Henderson, your host, and I believe that something greater is always possible for you. Well, hello. It's been a little while. It has. It's been a few weeks, actually. Things have just gotten busy. Finishing up summer was crazy good, but crazy busy. And, you know, we always have that time where we transition from one season to the next, and there's always a certain energy shift, you know, when you go from one season to the next, especially from summer into fall. I think it's like those past days of, you know, going from summer to new school, a new class, new teacher, possibly new people in your classrooms, a new setting, new topics, subjects, I should say. I don't know. Are there new subjects? I guess there are. When you're in middle school and high school, you've been introduced to some new subjects. So, but anyway, here I am. We got through summer. It reminds me of Elf when Jovi's like, I'm just trying to get through the holidays, and Buddy's like, trying to get through them. It's like the best time of year. So if we could all just have that kind of positivity all the time, you know. But I actually am feeling really good, very excited to be here. A lot of fun things coming up in the fall. Very much in the possibility mindset right now, because fall for speakers like myself, it's a big time. A lot of conferences going on. It's the busiest time of year for me. October is traditionally my busiest time. When I was more on the entertainer side of things, December was the busiest time with all the Christmas parties and everything. But now as a motivational speaker and keynoting, it's October is just it's you know, we just get slammed with conferences, but in a good way. So right now it's September. September's also somewhat busy. So you're just kind of easing into that busiest time coming up. So how are things for you? You know, are you finding yourself right now thinking about how you can explore greater possibilities? Are you in a new season of life in some way, or are you in the same season, but you're thinking like I need to make things happen? You know, because sometimes greater possibilities is about making change happen rather than just reacting to change and new possibilities and opportunities that are out there. So let's just leave with that question. You know, are you creating new possibilities for yourself in some way? And how? And I'd love to hear about how are you changing things up, you know, doing the old traditional, taking a different way to work, you know, getting a new hairdo, getting new outfits, finding a new place to get coffee. You know, I mean, what is it? Sometimes it's the small things. Changing those small things can just give you a really fresh outlook. So I'd love to hear in the comments how things are going. So here I am, this is episode 10. At one point I was like, I'm going to stop saying what number the episode is, but I feel like 10 is significant because I shared a few months ago that I was talking with another podcaster, and I was telling them how I was just getting started, and they said, when you get to episode 10, that's when you know you're going to do this, right? Because I guess the majority of people, he was telling me, give up before episode 10 if they're going to give up. So here we are. We're doing it, episode 10. We are a go with the Possibility Mindset Podcast. So congratulations for being in this with me. It's really fun to have you. So, you know, I was thinking about this. I have all these segments that I do. And last time, I actually didn't listen to my full episode. So I need to do that. I like to listen just to improve. And that's true for my podcasting, my speeches, and everything. But last time felt very segmenty. Like I was like, okay, segment, boom, segment done. Now next segment. It felt very choppy, and it didn't feel good. It didn't feel natural. And so I don't know what the answer is to that yet, because I like the segments that I have, and I don't want to be like trying to have to think of great transitions every time I do a podcast episode, because that's a lot of work to do. And there's enough preparing the podcast with like filling in the segments, and then also thinking what's the main event, and down the line, who am I going to interview, and coming up with interview questions. So I'm just thinking, I don't know, maybe it'll be more of a natural progression of me just kind of smoothly coming out of one segment and into the next. So we'll see what happens. So sometimes I do try to think of a theme where each segment kind of like goes together, like maybe the theme of the day might be something like road travel or something, and each complaint, each confession kind of fits under the umbrella of whatever that category is. But again, that takes so much thought. Here's the thing, y'all. My whole life, or my whole career right now, for the past, 12, 15 years that I've really been focused on keynote speaking has been about scripting keynote messages, right? Like I have sort of like my base keynote, but then also I customize it. So I do make changes, but I've always had to be so articulate and have to say the right certain amount of things in a certain amount of time, in a way that's inspirational, that's clear, and that's actionable for the audience. And so I've thought very deeply about my message, and I improve on it on that one key message. But with podcasting, it feels more like I was thinking about, I've talked about this before, pastors who have to like give a new sermon every single week. I'm like, how do they do that? Like, it's like they're writing a keynote speech every week. That's a lot of writing. And I guess the equivalent for a podcaster would be, man, trying to make each episode just like perfect, because you could like refine until you feel like I am ready to put out this episode. And that's really hard to do when you're solo casting, right? To make it perfect every time. And it takes the fun out of it. And it really can just be deflating and be like, oh my gosh, I didn't prepare this week, so I'm just not going to do one. That's not the rut I want to find myself in. That may be the reason that many people give up. I don't know. It just seems too overwhelming to like get it perfect. And I don't know. I put this down as a possibility for this week's title of the episode. I put down just do it, like the whole Nike thing, being victorious, like just do it. And it kind of goes with my idea of picking up the ball. Take action consistently no matter what. Of course, you want to balance that with like just do it with, being mindful about what you're doing. Don't just jump in and, plan to fail. It's like it's okay to fail. It's okay to drop the ball, but plan for the best, right? So it's about, for me, this podcasting specifically is like planning to have the best episode, but not like working for perfection, like just start small, get in here, get the camera going, get the microphone on, and just do it. So that may be today's title. I don't know if it's different. It's because eventually I'm going to talk myself into something different here. But on that note, is there something in your life that there's this new possibility out there? And the possibility mindset would say, hey, never stop asking what else is possible. And you know what? Just do it. Just go for it. Or it's like we could just be like, let's just keep waiting. And I've seen a lot of that in my lifetime, in other people, sometimes in myself, where it's like, let's just wait. I could maybe sometimes err on the side of let's just do it and get crazy and go and see what happens, because I kind of like the adventure of failure and picking up the ball and moving on and, just kind of going in sloppy and not ready. And so I sometimes err on the side of that. So I do have to keep myself in check and say, okay, Devin, sometimes it's okay to wait a beat and then go for it. But I say most of us need to hear, just do it, just do it. Nike, one of my favorite brands, potential sponsor, as far as I'm concerned. All right. So anyway, if we're talking about just doing it, we are doing that. We're just doing it. And also, talking about trying to prepare perfectly every time, what happens sometimes is I'll plan an episode out and I'll have some main thoughts and mainly talking about the main event section, right? And then I listen to it, or I even just like digest what I talked about. And I think of all these things I could have said. Oh, I should have added this story. Oh, that point. And oh, I hope they don't think I meant this and not that. So I have these afterthoughts. So I thought, in the update section, I could always just kind of refer back and say, hey, I forgot to say this or forgot to say that. It gives me some freedom to not worry about that I have to cover everything and like write it out script-wise and leave nothing out, And then sometimes it's like there's so much left over that I didn't cover that it's like, hey, let's do a part 2. Like I did not long ago with the whole Finishing Strong episodes. I was like, there's just so much that I feel like I can add that let's just make it a new episode. But what I do want to do is just give a couple of afterthoughts on the whole Leading with Grace episode, which was our last one. I talked about Cambry, my daughter, who forgot her backpack when we went to the day of her performance. And I went home and got it for her and extended her grace rather than trying to teach her a life lesson. Because I talked about, as parents, as leaders, as managers, whatever your position is, you have the opportunity to extend grace when people drop the ball. And a lot of times we look at that, no, let's not give them grace. Let's use this as a teaching opportunity. But I said, let's err on the side of grace and let life be the one that teaches the lessons, because I'm not always going to be there to bail my daughter out like that. And life will teach that hard lesson, right? So I figured, let those lessons come, but the grace is the harder thing to teach, and the thing that we have the huge opportunity to teach right now, and that if they can learn that, they're going to be so much further ahead in life, because giving grace is such a better life and leadership skill, or to me, a priority over just like making sure you're like tactically and logistically figuring out your life. That, to me, that's easier to learn. Life will teach you that. Now, one thing I thought was, I don't want people to think that I don't look for teaching moments as a parent. I do. We're walking outside, we're walking in nature, and if there's like here's a lesson about a tree and how trees grow and how it's like a miracle. Like, this is like the gift of life, and we just take for granted trees and plants in the sky, but this is all like a gift, and it's amazing. So I'm always looking for teachable moments. What I meant was, don't always be looking for like moments where you have to like teach someone a lesson, so to say, right? We'll let life teach the hard knocks and the lessons. So there's obviously a little bit of gray area in all of that. I'm just kind of giving you my what I think is helpful to you, what might help you maybe think differently, and I'm really just trying to get you to think more about how can you give more grace. That's what that was all about. Let's see. Oh, and then I think the other thing I thought about afterwards, and this is the last thing about that, the afterthought, was like, what's the application for you? Because I came at it mainly from a parent, how a parent can extend grace to their child. But yeah, what's the application for you in that? Like, where can you extend more grace in your life? And maybe it is as a parent, as a family member, as a spouse. It could be as a neighbor. Like maybe your neighbor is, I don't know, doing weird things like we do. We always have toys in the driveway, and maybe we don't mow our lawn as often as they want, or whatever your neighbors do. Like, how can you just extend grace? Offer to help. Maybe that's the application for you. Maybe you're a teacher. Maybe a student turns in an assignment late, and you're thinking, okay, I could stick to, and maybe that's one of the life lessons. I don't know. This is for you to decide. I'm just giving examples, or maybe there are times to extend grace as a teacher. I'm not going to try to speak from experience on that one. That's for you. Or as a boss, as a manager, if people make mistakes, they get inventory wrong, they ship something to the wrong customer, whatever it is, like, where are areas you can extend grace more that's really going to attract and retain better quality talent, because people are like, man, this is the kind of organization and the boss and the person that I want to follow. Someone who is more concerned with my well-being by extending me grace and teaching me in that way, rather than just condemning and criticizing every single thing I do, because no thank you, okay? Life's hard enough. I don't need to be taught in that way. I'm going to go somewhere else. So you want to be a leader, a manager, a boss, an organization who attracts and retains better quality talent. Show gratitude, show appreciation, extend grace as a regular practice. All right, we're into it now. We're into it. There's like more updates. I just took down notes of what I did, because when you get on here and you get in front of the camera, you get on the microphone, you kind of forget what happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks. But a lot happened for us. Good things. We went on vacation. We went down to Margaritaville. So, as you may know, I live here in Kansas City on the Kansas side with my wife and our 7 daughters, and we hadn't really had a family vacation, and vacations are hard for us to plan, and I think it's so important to take that break. Once a week to take a day off, but also if you have a family, or even if you're by yourself, just have a getaway, have a change of scenery, and we needed that. It's hard for us because with my travel schedule, sometimes we'll try to make one of my travel jobs into a family vacation, right? Like Margaritaville, for instance, which is down in the Lake of the Ozarks on Osage Beach. And I've spoken at that resort many times because there's conferences there. But my family also, we've done like family camps there, just coincidentally the same location. So now when I go to speak, the kids are like, "Dad's going to Margaritaville, can we come?" And if we can make it work, we do. But sometimes I have so many activities back here that, since we're not planning the date, because I get booked whenever I get booked by an organization, they may not be able to come with me. Or sometimes my wife and I decide it's too stressful for me to try to speak and do work while they're with me. So sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. It depends on kind of like the nature of the gig that I'm doing. But so we kind of realized to really get away, to really be a family, we have to go, we have to plan a separate trip. So we did. So we planned a trip down to Margaritaville, and it's kind of fun, kind of something for everyone. At this resort, they've got bowling, they've got putt-putt, they've got like a little sandy beach, a pool with water slides, they've got an indoor pool, and we love that because there's a hot tub in there, and we had that all to ourselves for both days that we were there. They have an arcade, and so it's, we got 2 rooms, because 8 of us went. My oldest daughter didn't go, but there were 8 of us total, so it really helps to have 2 rooms, which I think actually you can't have more than 6 people in a room or something like that. So we got away, we had a blast, it was so fun, and then Saturday morning we're looking up things to do on the way home, and we Googled Margaritaville things, and it turns out we found out Jimmy Buffett passed away Friday night while we were there at the resort. And there's many resorts. I think there's about 24 of them we found out. And Jimmy Buffett is like the icon. He's the whole the reason Margaritaville experience and resorts exist. And he passed away, and it was crazy. And I didn't know a lot about Jimmy Buffett. I'm familiar with some of his songs. I know who he is. I understand his vibe of the whole fun party, beach kind of concert-giving atmosphere. He gets out on the water, he paddleboards, he surfs, he's just a fun guy. And to find that out, it was just a very, very strange thing and kind of meaningful to us because we love Margaritaville down there. And it was wow, Jimmy Buffett passed him. And my kid, just the day before, my kids had been asking me, hey, who's Jimmy Buffett? Because his name always keeps popping up as you walk around the resort, and he's on the TV screens and everything. And so we had just been talking about him, and they had just kind of started to get to know some of his songs. And then that happened, and I guess it was they have the big giant flip flop outside the resort, and I think they have that at all the resorts. I think it's one of the icons of the resorts, like this big giant flip flop that you can take a picture with. And people were putting things down, like their room key cards and that kind of thing, down by the flip flop as a memorial to Jimmy. And it was just kind of crazy, but just a reminder of how delicate life is, and just to be thankful for the people that you do have, and that even the celebrities, they have, sometimes we don't, I'll speak for myself, I don't see them as real people. I see them as oh, well, that there's no pain there because you're just, but it's they have families, they have lives, they have struggles, and this is real. And it kind of, I don't know, it felt close to home, even though it seems weird to say that. I didn't know Jimmy personally. I didn't know a lot about him, but it just felt kind of close to home since we were at that resort. So R.I.P. Jimmy. And it was, we're thankful for that he created that experience for us through that resort. So appreciative of that. So we did that. Now, here we go. It was 100 degrees a week ago here in Kansas. Now it's, I don't know, what is it, 80, 85 out there today? Maybe less. It's raining, so it is definitely fall. And I will tell you, summer's over, fall's here. Fall is my favorite season. I have always loved fall. I think there's just something in the air about fall, and I talked to, I don't know, most of our family is they don't really like fall because it's like a symbol of death leading into winter and leading up to the coldest seasons. And it's fall is the bad guy. But I'm man, I love it. It's a refreshing break from the heat. It's a sign of, to me, it's kind of a sign of new life, because even though I'm an adult now, I've never gotten out of the mentality of there's a summer and then there's a school year. It's all, even though I've been out of high school now for 25 years, it has felt still like summer's gone, school's here. And it's just, I don't know, a certain energy. Maybe you agree. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you think I'm absolutely insane. But I love the fall. And also, I was in marching band in high school, so we would march at the football games. I played soccer. So just that crisp air of being outside around sports, around the marching band music, I loved it. It was such a fun time of life, and I still feel that spirit, when fall rolls around. And then it's also, maybe it's significant, especially for me too, because my birthday is on August 31st. It just happened. And sometimes my birthday fell on the very first day of school, which was kind of I don't know, kind of a bittersweet thing. It's oh man, who wants to have their birthday on the first day of school? But then it makes the first day of school a little bit easier, And then arguably the first day of school is the best day of school because it's still fresh and new and exciting. And you get to see which new cute girls are in your class. You know what I'm talking about. So my birthday happened, and I got to thinking about this. I get so many messages, as I'm sure all of you do, Facebook messages about happy birthday, and I'm appreciative of that. And thank you for anyone who said happy birthday over Facebook. But after the day after my birthday, I went onto Facebook, which I don't use Facebook a lot anyway. I mean, we post our regular videos on there, but I took my birthday off of Facebook, and here's why. You know, you've heard it said that Facebook, Instagram have ruined high school reunions. Which, by the way, I have my 25th year anniversary coming up here in a month. So I'm excited about that. Just can't believe it's been a quarter of a century since I graduated high school. It's unreal. I guess that's what more than half my life, right? Which is wild. But more than half my life ago, I should say. So it used to be special when there wasn't Facebook, because when someone remembered your birthday, it meant something. It wasn't just because they were pinged with a notification, an automatic notification from Facebook. It's because maybe they handwrote it in their calendar every year. Or maybe they just remembered because they love you or they care about you or it's something special. But now to get all these happy birthday messages, it's just kind of empty and meaningless, And then it's just kind of for me a little bit, I have to sift through them to make sure that I haven't missed some inquiry oh, happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. Hey, we want to book you for our conference. Happy birthday, happy birthday. I don't just want to be delete all. It's I have to look through, dozens, hundreds of these messages to make sure. So I went on, I deleted it, and I thought, if anyone remembers my birthday, which I don't think it's going to be that many people now because people rely on Facebook, so we're not trained to remember birthdays. It's going to be my immediate family and maybe one friend. One or two friends. I really feel that way. They're the only ones who are going to know, but anyone who says, and it's not a test to be well, who's going to say happy birthday? Those people are my real friends. It's not a test. It's just that it's I don't want to be inundated with happy birthday messages because of an automatic notification through a social media platform. And I would rather have it be coming from meaningful, true friends. And if I'm not getting enough happy birthdays, then maybe I need to make some more true friends, right? Maybe that's an indication. So anyway, it's not on there. But if you want to wish me happy birthday next year, if you want to be a true friend, my birthday is August 31st. I would welcome a message from you on that. Okay, one more thing about kind of an update thing before I move on. I was last day of Labor Day is the last day our pool is open, our city pool. It's always been that way. I don't know if it's true everywhere. A little coffee sip here. And I was with my kids in the pool, and I heard behind me, Devin Henderson, and I immediately knew the voice. It was a girl named Michelle that I knew from high school, and it's so weird. I've since high school, I've maybe seen her 3 times. I can think of 2 or 3 times where I've seen her since high school, and we were such good buds. She was a year younger than me. I was on drumline. She was in drill team. There was sort of a special connection between those two things. And we were just buds. We hung out a lot, and it's crazy. We just talked. We just had a few minutes to chat, and I was like, "Oh, is this your boy?" She's like, "Yeah." She goes, "And Devin, we have all boys. We have 7 boys," and that blew my mind because I have 7 girls, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "I have 7 girls," and we were both shocked, and it was kind of a crazy moment, and we were like, "Let's arrange some marriages. This would be the best family connection ever," but I thought that was wild that one of my great friends from high school has 7 boys. I have 7 girls. Just thought that was crazy. And see, that's what I'm talking about. That's more fun to find out that Michelle has 7 boys than to see it on Facebook and then run into her and be like, "Oh, hey, mother of 7 boys. Yep, I've watched them growing up." That's one of the reasons I try not to be on social media, is for that very reason right there. That was a fun, unique moment. So I didn't even mean to make a message out of that, but I guess the whole point is, man, I don't know. Are we spending too much time on social media? Okay. All right. Fun updates. Let's see here. Trivial complaint time. See how smooth we can make these transitions now. Putting my money where my mouth is. My trivial complaint today is when you get an email that says, your bill is here! Exclamation point. I'm like, am I supposed to be excited that my bill is here? Are they trying to soften the fact that you have a bill? So, it's like a doctor being like, guess what? You can't eat ice cream! Exclamation point. Yeah, I mean, it's like, what? You're trying to soften bad news with an exclamation point? And then I thought, well, maybe they mean it like, your bill is here! Exclamation point, like, hello, wake up, don't forget to pay us, but I'm on auto pay, so it's not like they're like wondering if I'm going to pay. So anyway, the exclamation point, hey, I just want like, hey, your bill's here, period. Boom. Okay, thank you. Stated facts. Don't try to add emotion to it. Next, they're going to be sending like emojis with like party hats and, confetti. It's like, your bill is here. Woo! Like, how dumb do they think I am? So I don't know. Just change the exclamation point to a period. We'll all be good. Okay. Now, I had a big epiphany lately. Okay. If you think I should have said epiphany, well, do you watch The Office? Have you ever watched Michael Scott says epiphany? And my wife and I, whenever we're going to say epiphany, we always say epiphany. It's fun. The other thing we like to do for Michael Scott is something happens, the tables have turned, and he walks in and he goes, my, how the turns have... And then he just stops and no one corrects him, and it's hilarious. So sometimes I'll be like, my, how the turns have... And someone's like, it's how the tables have turned, they correct me. So it's not annoying, but kind of funny when someone isn't into your culture, isn't into your show, and you drop these inside jokes and they just think you're a moron. That's real fun. Okay, anyway. Why was I talking about how the turns have... Oh, yeah, because the epiphany. Here's my epiphany. I have this trivial complaint thing that I always do, and I like to do the trivial complaint because it's a reminder of, hey, we complain about these first world problems, but let's remember to zoom out and look at our blessings and things that work. Well, what I haven't been doing is plugging something in that I'm thankful for. So I'm like, oh, well, why don't I just go ahead and start doing that as a new segment and as a follow-up to a trivial complaint to have something to always give thanks for? Well, while it's kind of like a trivial complaint, this is kind of like a quote-unquote trivial piece of gratitude, okay? Because it's kind of like, okay, I'll just tell the story. Maybe that'll make sense. One time, it was Thanksgiving or Easter, it was some holiday, and we decided at dinner to go around the table and just say one thing that we're all thankful for. It must have been Easter because people will, we have kids, so they'll say things like God, family, the kind of things that you would write on Thanksgiving when you made a turkey out of construction paper at school, and the teacher's like, write 3 things you're thankful for, and you're like, okay, family, friends, my bike, Well, so it's cute just having kids like trying to think of what they're thankful for. I think sometimes when there's a time of giving gratitude, I feel like I have to think of something either super profound or spiritual or unique. Like I want people to go, oh, Devin, man, that was a good one. Everyone else is just saying family and health, but Devin, you said... I can't even think of something profound right now. And that's how I always feel in that situation. I'm always like, what am I going to say? So while we were going around, I saw on the counter some Cadbury eggs. You know those Cadbury eggs they have at Easter time? They're chocolate eggs. They usually come in a pack of 4. They're wrapped in colorful foil, like a red, a yellow, and a blue. You open it up, and you bite into it, and you get either one of 2 things, either a runny smoothie cream filling, or it's been in the fridge, or it's been in the air condition, and you bite into it, and the middle's hard. Either way, I love it, okay? It's like, if it's gooey, you're like, oh, yeah, it's dripping all over you, and you're just loving it. If it's hard, it's still good, and then it's less of a mess. So win-win. Either way is good with that. I love Cadbury eggs. They're my favorite candy, and I think one of the reasons they're my favorite candy is because they only come once a year. And I'm not sure if they're available all year. Like if I went online in, say, October, would they have them? I don't know. I've never tried. I don't care to try because I like having it special that one time of year. There's been times where, my mom knows I love them. She'll give me a pack of 4, and the 4 of them are gone like that. So I'm not proud of myself. I'm just telling you how life goes for me. But I love those Cadbury eggs. So while we were going around the table talking about what we're thankful for, it came to me, and I said, Cadbury eggs. And someone at the table looked at me and said, seriously? And he was dead. I'm not going to say who it was. He was dead serious. And the look, I'm guessing what he meant was, dude, come on. Right now, we're talking about things we're deeply thankful for, and the best thing you can come up with is Cadbury egg. And I'm like, yeah, it is, okay? I'm thankful for Cadbury eggs. It's not the only thing that I'm thankful for. And I could give you a list of 20 things. We didn't say, let's say the thing we're most thankful for, or the thing that we're thankful for the third most. No, we just said, let's say something that we're thankful for. And I think so many times when it comes to thankfulness, we have to be like, I can only be thankful for the big things, But we don't do that with complaining. We don't say, I'm just going to complain about the huge things. No, we complain about the dumb, trivial things too, which is why I have that segment to remind us to be grateful. So let's not forget to be thankful for the trivial things that are good in our life too, the little things. Let's be thankful for the big things, but what are the tiny little things? What are the Cadbury eggs that you're thankful for? What is it? Breath of fresh air? A different kind of candy? A look that a stranger gave you, a smile. Someone gave you the fact that when you started your car this morning, it actually started, It's little things, So being thankful for it all. So that's my always give thanks today. Cadbury eggs. Love them. Boy, this is ironic. No, we did not hit the pause button or stop the episode, and this was not planned. This is really funny. One thing I noticed when I was listening to one of my podcast episodes was sometimes I don't give enough silence. And that's one thing you learn as a public speaker, like the power of the pause. You can be speaking in a room of 1,000 people, and when you stop, if there's someone not paying attention, you stop for long enough, every head in the room is going to look up at you like, why is it quiet? And it's just a way to draw people in. It's a way to get attention. And I do that on stage because I've learned the art of that, and I've watched myself and thought I need to pause longer right there because I want that message to sink in, or I want them to really be attentive to the thing I'm about to say, or both. And then sometimes the pause is also good just to change up the pace. You've been on I have a couple things where I go really fast with my words and it kind of builds to a crescendo, and sometimes it gets an applause break, and then it's like, okay, let's just recover from that now. Let's just let everybody take a deep breath. So I was doing that just now, and then I looked at what the confession of a motivational speaker is, and I had forgot what it was, but it's just, I love silence. I do, and you wouldn't think it when you hear me talking on stage or talking here right now, but I think it's like my favorite sound. The sound of silence, as Simon and Garfunkel would say. I drove to a gig a few weeks ago, and it was about a 3-hour drive, and that entire drive, for part of the drive, I talked to a friend for about an hour and a half. That really killed a lot of the drive, half the drive for me. But I didn't listen to any podcasts. I didn't listen to any music, nothing. I just had silence. Now, it's arguably because I have 7 kids that it's like my life is so filled with noise, albeit good noise, that sometimes I just need silence. However, I've kind of always been that way. I just like my thoughts to catch up with me. Sometimes I'm slow to digest and absorb and process, and I need that silence. And I had a roommate at K-State, great guy, David, who would study while he's listening to music, and I can't do that. Like, I am one-track mind. I can't have music over here and study. It's the craziest thing. So I love silence. Now, there's the times where the road trips are long enough, or maybe I'm just in a different mood where I'll put a podcast on right away and listen to podcasts the whole time. But there are people who I'll road trip with. Sometimes I'll bring someone with me to help me on a long drive or an overnight drive. And it's like, oh, no music at all? Okay. But whatever. So I love silence. And how's that a confession? I don't know. It just is. I guess it's a confession because I think maybe sometimes people think that a motivational speaker is constantly listening to some kind of self-help or leadership or teamwork book or podcast to better themselves so that they can have more knowledge and be a better communicator, better thought leader, all that. But it's like sometimes for me, just like the most healing thing is to have silence. So there it is. Okay, here we go. Girl talk. This one has been getting some serious traction on social media. Serious traction meaning more views than just my normal motivational videos. So here we go. Today's girl talk. Hope you enjoy it. Eva, age 5. I didn't mean to say her name, but it's okay. She said, I don't like the word skin. It's so skinny. What's skinny mean? All right, same kid, same age. Dad, can I have some Lucky Charms? Me, no honey, you've had enough. 30 seconds later, Eva said, "Dad, have I had enough donuts?" Same kid, same age. I saw a guy with, this was me. I said to her, I said to the family, I was like, well, I saw a guy with some really hairy forearms. Like 2 minutes later, Eva says, "Wait, so that guy really had 4 arms?" Okay, Eva, also 5. "Oh, my tummy hurts from tooting too much. I tooted so much at church." All right, this is a 10-year-old. "My life is perfect, but I'm not." All right, back to Eva, age 5. "I don't want to be naked in heaven." All right, and then back to the 10-year-old. "Like I say, gossip is good. If you don't get things off your chest, you'll be messed up." Serious wisdom right there from a 10-year-old. Okay, back to 5 again. "Mom, I know what Jesus looks like. He has a beard and a rope around his waist." This must have been a Sunday. Okay, a couple more here. Age 5, "Daddy, pretend you're my dad." It was difficult playtime. And we'll end on this one. This was age 7. "It smells like grown-up poop." All right, because we all know that there's a distinct difference. I won't go any further than that. Okay, that's today's Girl Talk. Hope you enjoyed that. Man, life is so good. I love those kids. All right, I want to give a couple shout-outs now. I gave a shout-out to Michelle earlier, my friend from high school, and we're going to go along with that theme of high school. I mentioned that I had a friend who commented not too long ago about how he's been listening to the podcast, and he was my first comment on the actual Apple Podcast platform. So Dan, my man, thank you. I love you, man. You're awesome. His handle on the Apple, is Piano Dan 2. And Dan said, "Helpful words of wisdom. Thank you, Devin, for sharing." Dan, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your encouragement. I'm glad that you're getting something out of this podcast and that it's been fun for you to learn more about my life, like you said in your private message. And I appreciate you, man. And I don't see you as often as I'd like to, but you and Courtney and the girls, you have a beautiful family and we have a rich history. And, just a real quick note about Dan. Dan and I, we go back to high school. We were friends in high school, and he was actually in Michelle's class. He was a grade younger than me, too. And so we were in choir, and we did this thing. Dan, forgive me. I can't remember if I already talked about this on the podcast or not. Dan and I would go into choir, and during high school at that time, I carried a backpack with me because, this was the day of big textbooks. Like, what I'm talking about, like big, fatty, like 1.5 thick textbooks, Today, is everything digital? I don't even know. Like, do high school students, do they just, is it all digital? I don't know. Maybe it's different in different regions, but anyway, Dan and I would walk into class with our backpacks on, and what we would do first in choir, it was 4th hour, what we'd do first is we would just sing and do warm-ups, and Dan and I would leave our backpacks on. Everybody else took theirs off, put them down, but Dan and I would leave ours on, and it was just, I don't even know what to call that. Like, was it an inside joke? Were we trying to see if we could get away with it without the teacher being like, "What are you guys doing? Why are your backpacks on?" It's not like we were being rebels. It was kind of funny, and I can't even tell you how it started. I don't know if one of us accidentally left it on, so then the other person put theirs on to make fun of them, and then it just became a thing, but I don't know. We were just backpack buddies. Dan, I would love to hear from you on how did that get started? Do you remember? And what is your memory with that? And for everyone else out there, what are your weird memories where it's like, I don't even know where to go with that. I don't know how to explain that, but it's just this funny, awesome, cool thing that we had going, and it really bonded us in a special way. So whenever I see Dan, that's always in the back of my mind, but we don't talk about it much. Another, as we're getting into comments here, my daughter told me that Mindy is listening. So Mindy, what's up? That's so awesome. It's good to know that you're on here, you're listening. Mindy and her family, they're all incredible people. Jeremy, Christina, the whole crew, Andrew. Mindy's brother, Jeremy, was in a play in he was also a year behind me. All my friends were 1 year younger than me, apparently. But he was in the play Little Abner. And he was not Abner, but Abner's little pal. I don't know their names. And he was awesome in that play. And so every time I'd see him throughout the years, I'd kind of be starstruck because he lives here in Shawnee still with me. And then one day he and his family saw me do a magic show, and then we just, I don't know, kind of hit it off. I'd love to have Jeremy as a guest on the podcast at some point because he has a bunch of kids too, and our circles interconnect quite a bit. So, but his sister is Mindy, and funny thing about Mindy used to be a waitress at the restaurant that my parents used to frequent. It was called Le Peep, and it was mainly a breakfast and brunch type place. They recently went out of business, which was really sad. And I actually have more to say about Le Peep. I'll have to cover that later. But about, I don't know, like 10 years ago, I was making a DVD on teaching people magic tricks, because after my shows, I wanted to sell DVDs because people would say, hey, can you teach us a trick, or where can my kid learn tricks? Well, I made a couple of DVDs on learning magic tricks, but I wanted kind of cool different places to shoot them, and we were just shooting with an iPad. But Le Peep was kind of a cool location because they had this private party room. The walls were really colorful. The lighting was great. So we went in there, and Mindy happened to be the waitress that day. And my mom and I went in there and had breakfast. My mom held the iPad for me while I was demoing how to do this magic trick that was going to go on the DVD. And Mindy was in there, and she was, I guess, their regular waitress for a time. And I asked her, hey, can I do a magic trick on you? Because I wanted to like demo the trick and having an actual person who didn't know what was going to happen be on camera so that people could see the person kind of freaking out and reacting before I taught the trick. Well, Mindy, little did I know, has like a theater background. So I did the magic trick, and she like freaked out, like, like a David Blaine type reaction. And I was like, dang, like either this trick's better than I thought, or she's really into magic, or she's faking it. I was like, it's one of those three things. Well, I think what it was, she just has an acting background. I told her, hey, if you could kind of react a little bit and act like it's really amazing. And she like sold it so well and made that trick on the DVD just phenomenal. So shout out to Mindy for just being awesome there. And now it turns out she directs some plays here in town. Their family, they have a private theater that they own, and they teach theater. They put on plays, and she directs some of those plays. And my daughter Claire was in a production of Grease a little over a year ago. And so anyway, Mindy, it's good to be like reconnected through my kid. And thanks for being on here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being awesome. All right. I'm going to do a couple comments from the keynote, and then we'll see what the main event happens to be. All right, here we go. It's from the keynote. I loved it. Mindset creates the world with which we live. I love how he pushed for seeing possibilities rather than focusing on obstacles. Being grateful. Thank you. Grateful for the message and for those magical skills. All right, well, thank you. Okay, here's another one. It resonated for me and my struggles with my last and confidence with my past, I think is what typo. Okay, it resonated for me and my struggles with my past and confidence as a former pro athlete. I will take this with me. See, y'all, let that be a life lesson. You just never know when there's going to be a pro athlete in your audience. So that's pretty awesome. Thanks for that comment. Okay, this is cool. This one's funny. Devin killed it. Melby doesn't know talent. All right, and that would make sense if you've heard my America's Got Talent story. So thanks for that. And last one, covered everything relevant for the event. And I think I might know who that one came from. I think it came from the event planner, because she approached me afterwards and she said that was phenomenal. And I said, cool, what stood out to you the most? And she goes, how you customize the material. Because I always do like a final preparatory call with the event planner before the event and ask questions that'll help me customize the keynote to the audience at hand. And so sometimes they give me very brief notes, and sometimes it's like extensive, and they gave me some really good quality notes, and I implement as many of those as I can. And so she was really appreciative that those were implemented. She even made the point, she goes, past speakers haven't done that, so that's great. And I thought everybody was working this hard to like customize, because sometimes it's like you have this great message, you have these great stories, but people are sitting there like, okay, but what's that mean for me? And if the audience is sitting there going, this is great, this is fun, but I don't know what to do with this, I haven't done my job, so it's like you don't want to make them work to connect the dots and draw the applications. You want to like help feed that to them, right? That's part of your job as a keynote speaker. And that's what I want to do better kind of on the fly as a podcaster, just constantly be thinking, okay, these stories I'm sharing, these things I'm doing, what does that mean for you, right? So maybe that'll come better with time, extemporaneously. I do it much better when I'm planning hard for it, because you're getting paid keynote speaker money to deliver hard on this. So if you want to be a Patreon and pay me, I'll work harder at being a better podcaster. That was where I was going. No, that's a joke. But seriously, you go ahead and throw money at me. Okay, so thanks for all those comments. I was looking at the time. I was like, wow, I've already gone about 45 minutes. I think I'll talk just briefly about just do it. Not even sure what I'm going to say, but I will, even if it's a little bit of encouragement. Thanks for letting me just, hop back on here. It has been, I think I skipped 2 weeks and not just one. Don't quote me on that, but it just felt like a long time to not have a touch. So thank you for your patience. Thank you for hanging in with me through episode 10. I look forward to what's to come. I will have guests. I know I keep saying that, but I will. I've got a list. I'm trying to work that out logistically. I want to make sure it's a quality recording so that you can really get something. I've got some people I'm really excited about interviewing. They'll be with me in person because they're local, and some will be over Zoom. So I don't want to give any spoilers or promises yet because, I'm not sure exactly who's going to be able to make it in the near future, but continue to be excited about that. Okay, just in closing, the main event is going to be the shortest part of this podcast. My updates and my afterthoughts take so much longer than the main event, but just do it. I call it picking up the ball. Again, it means to take action consistently no matter what. But we're talking about meaningful action. We're talking about do it consistently, talking about doing over time. Okay? Regardless of temporary frustration or discomfort or uncertainty that are in front of you, the challenges that are out there, there's always going to be that next new, bigger, more daunting challenge. But if we can just flip that in our mind and look at that as an opportunity to get more creative, build our resilience, come back stronger after this challenge so that we can tackle the next big thing with even more passion and resilience. I mean, that's exciting. That's what the possibility mindset is all about. Asking what else is possible. Yeah, this seems like it's going to change things forever for me in a negative way, and I'm not going to be able to come back from this, but what else is possible? What if I look at this this is exciting. This gives me now I don't have to be bored with my job. Now I can have this new thing that I'm going to tackle and lock arms with my teammates even more to overcome this challenge. So just do it. Is there something, maybe there's something you have to do with your work that you're like, there's no way around this. We have to do this. But is there something maybe in your personal life that you're putting off? A hobby, a new venture, a trip, a time with someone, a phone call to someone who you owe an apology or a thanks to. Just do it today. Just do something. Like I say, start small, because if you start small, you can end big. So how can you start small today and just do it? Take Nike's advice. Be victorious. What are you waiting for? Push through. Do it. Don't quit. And if you drop the ball, pick up the ball. Keep going. All right, well, hey, this is going to be an exciting week for me. It's a busy week. Got a lot of gigs. I'm heading out of town tomorrow morning. Then Thursday, I've got a gig here in town. It's going to be focused heavily on teamwork, so I'm pumped for that. That's what I'm pumped for this week. What are you pumped for this week? Remember, when you embrace the possibility mindset, you never stop asking the question, what else is possible? All right, thanks so much. See you next time.